Walking in this world carries a spiritual weight. It's not just the visible battles, but also the ones we sense deep within. Sometimes someone steps into your life, and although their smile seems genuine, something in your spirit feels unsettled. You can't quite explain it, but you know something isn't right. Their laughter feels empty, the energy they bring seems heavy, and though their words may sound smooth, they lack the power to uplift or bring life. The devil rarely appears as a menacing figure. Instead, he shows up as everything you've ever desired. This well-known quote by C.S. Lewis reminds us that deception often hides behind an appealing facade. It might seem convincing, even comforting for a time, but deep down, God's Spirit within you signals a warning to look closer. In this video, we delve into 7 signs that a man in your life might be a warlock. We'll explore how deceit can hide in plain sight and how the enemy uses people to distract, drain, and destroy. Let's uncover these tactics, equip ourselves with truth, and learn how to protect our lives from spiritual attacks. Sometimes you don't need to witness someone's actions to sense that something is off. Your spirit feels it. One of the clearest indicators of a warlock is the dark presence they carry. When they're nearby, there's a weight, an inexplicable discomfort that lingers. It's like a shadow follows them, and the atmosphere changes in their presence. That unsettling feeling is a spiritual warning and shouldn't be dismissed. Picture inviting such a person into your home. Although they may leave physically, the darkness they bring doesn't always go with them. You might notice shifts in the environment, strange noises, shadows flickering in your peripheral vision, or an overall sense of unease. Your home, meant to be a refuge, starts feeling anything but peaceful. These are not mere coincidences, they're signs of lingering spiritual residue. C.S. Lewis observed that ideas don't merely belong to people sometimes. People belong to the ideas they carry. The darkness tied to some individuals isn't just a matter of behavior, but a reflection of spiritual influences. Such a person might carry the weight of spirits connected to their actions, lifestyle, or covenants. That spiritual baggage doesn't just affect them, it impacts the spaces they enter and the people they interact with. Your home is your sanctuary, a place of rest and peace. Protecting it is crucial. Allowing the wrong person to occupy that space, particularly one burdened by spiritual darkness, can invite chaos and fear. Regularly pray over your home, anoint doors and windows with oil, and declare that it belongs to God. If someone has brought spiritual heaviness into your life, ask God to cleanse your space and sever any connections or ties that might have unknowingly formed. Another clear sign of a warlock is spiritual confusion. These individuals often blend various beliefs, practices, and ideologies into a confusing web of distortion. They may present themselves as spiritual or intellectual, but their purpose is not to seek truth, it's to manipulate and deceive. One moment they're speaking about the universe, the next they're quoting religious texts like the Quran, and then they're talking about crystals, zodiac signs, or even claiming that women are divine. Their words, though coated in half-truths, serve only to confuse and control. These men don't seek enlightenment or truth, they seek power and recognition. They construct their own belief systems to grant themselves authority, aiming to be idolized by others. They crave adoration, using charm and charisma to build followings and feed their egos. Yet, as C.S. Lewis reminded us, mixing truth with lies doesn't dilute the falsehood, it contaminates the truth. This distortion leads to deception, which is the very environment in which a warlock thrives. Alarmingly, these individuals may even start claiming divine status. They may declare themselves as gods or claim to possess the ultimate truth. History is full of such figures, cult leaders who manipulated thousands into believing their claims of divinity. Their intent isn't merely manipulation, it's control. Test every spirit, as advised in 1 John 4:1. Measure their words and actions against God's word. If their teachings breed confusion or contradict truth, distance yourself. Not every person who enters your life is sent by God. One of the most dangerous signs of a warlock is their deliberate targeting of those with a calling. If God has placed a divine purpose in you, a warlock's aim is to derail it. They're not drawn to you as a person, but to the light of God within you. These men operate with intention, entering your life under the guise of care and admiration, but their true purpose is to disrupt your peace and drain you spiritually. Over time, you may notice things in your life falling apart: your finances, mental health, or spiritual well-being. Looking back, you might realize that the moment these struggles began was when this individual entered your life. This isn't a coincidence, it's spiritual sabotage. As C.S. Lewis wisely advised, believe someone when they show you who they truly are. Warlocks are adept at wearing masks, appearing supportive and kind, but their true motives eventually surface. The key is recognizing them before they cause significant damage. Be vigilant. Warlocks use charm, manipulation, and even gifts to create unhealthy soul ties. They see your potential and seek to undermine it. Remember, this is spiritual warfare, as Ephesians 6:12 teaches us. This battle isn't about people, but about the spiritual forces influencing them. Pray for discernment and protect your calling. If someone brings more chaos than peace, more harm than good, consider it a sign to cut ties. Refocus on God's purpose for your life and seek His guidance. Not all spiritual activity comes from God. A defining trait of a warlock is their involvement in forbidden spiritual practices. They operate in the spiritual realm without God's authority. This might involve practices like astral projection, where the soul leaves the body to engage in spiritual activity outside of God's will. Such actions open doors to darkness and invite demonic influence. You might notice strange patterns, particularly in your dreams. If you've had recurring dreams involving this individual, whether it's an ex, someone you're dating, or even someone from the past, it could signify a spiritual connection they're attempting to establish without your consent. These dreams might appear innocent, like holding hands or a fleeting kiss, but spiritually they can form unhealthy ties. Demons often disguise themselves as familiar faces in dreams to deceive. It's also possible that the person involved is intentionally tying themselves to you spiritually. This can leave you feeling confused, drained, or bound in ways God never intended. C.S. Lewis emphasized that spirituality outside of God's will is not true spirituality, but a path to destruction. Pray to cancel any spiritual ties that may have formed unknowingly. Fasting may be necessary to completely break the chains of spiritual manipulation. One of the most evident signs that a man is a warlock is the symbols he surrounds himself with. These symbols are often a direct representation of his spiritual ties and are clear indicators of his involvement in questionable practices. Pay close attention to his jewelry, tattoos, clothing, or even the items decorating his home. Symbols carry meaning. They reveal what a person aligns with spiritually and what they are connected to. For instance, he might consistently wear a ring with a distinctive emblem, have clothing that prominently displays strange letters or symbols, or keep a particular object in his space that feels unsettling. These aren't just random style choices or decorations. They often signify spiritual allegiances. Take groups like the Freemasons, for example. Members frequently wear specific rings or insignias that mark their affiliation. Some warlocks use such symbols to signal their status or rank in spiritual organizations. What's important to recognize is that these items often carry deeper spiritual significance. They can represent covenants, rituals, or even demonic agreements. If you bring up these symbols, don't expect straightforward answers. He might brush it off, saying it's just a tradition or that it doesn't mean anything. But remember, warlocks, like witches, often downplay their involvement, presenting themselves as harmless or even good. You may find him defending his symbols, claiming they're no big deal or saying it's just his way of expressing himself. However, symbols carry spiritual energy and power. They can act as doorways for dark forces to enter your life if you're not cautious. Trust your intuition. If something about his jewelry, tattoos, or belongings doesn't sit right with you, seek God for clarity. Always be discerning and mindful of who you let into your life. A warlock's ultimate aim is power, not just influence, but complete control over people, situations, and even the spiritual realm. One of the most alarming signs of a warlock is his tendency to manipulate and control others. This man doesn't merely seek authority, he craves domination. He will use manipulation, deceit, and even mind games to get people to do his bidding. Initially, his tactics may not be obvious. He may appear charming, supportive, or even devoutly spiritual. But behind that mask lies someone who thrives on control, treating people like puppets on strings. He acts as the puppet master, skillfully pulling the strings to make others act according to his will. You've likely seen this behavior among certain self-proclaimed leaders or so-called prophets. They present themselves as holy men, quoting scripture and donning the appearance of spirituality. Yet their real motives are rooted in deception. They use manipulation to maintain their power, often employing tactics like emotional manipulation or hypnosis over their followers. These leaders convince their congregations to give generously, follow orders without question, and defend them fiercely. They portray themselves as godlike figures, exploiting the loyalty and trust of their followers. As the saying goes, the best way to control someone is to make them believe they are not being controlled. This is precisely how warlocks operate. They mask their manipulation as care or guidance, leaving their followers blind to the truth. No matter how spiritual someone may seem, if their actions are marked by deceit, control, or manipulation, they are not operating under God's Spirit. Look beyond outward appearances and pay attention to their true character. Another telling sign of a warlock is his involvement in secretive spiritual organizations or brotherhoods. These groups often require oaths, rituals, and ceremonies that align with spiritual darkness. A man involved in such organizations may openly acknowledge his membership, but he'll likely downplay their true nature. He might say it's harmless or call it a family tradition. For example, some men are members of fraternities, Freemasonry, or other secret societies. They'll justify their involvement by saying it's a legacy passed down through their family, or that it's just a social group doing good work in the community. What they fail to mention or choose to ignore is that these organizations often involve spiritual rituals, initiations, or covenants that align with darkness. To rise in rank, members may participate in rituals that pledge allegiance to other gods, chant, or make sacrifices. These actions open spiritual doorways that invite darkness, not just into their lives, but into the lives of those around them. Even their clothing, symbols, or fraternity marks can signify their spiritual ties. What's particularly concerning is that some men are unaware of the spiritual weight these affiliations carry. They may see them as a means of gaining opportunities, protection, or connections. While they might gain such benefits, they cannot escape the spiritual consequences of their involvement. If a man openly admits to being part of such organizations and shows no willingness to turn away from them, take it as a significant warning sign. These groups often require spiritual compromise, and the weight of that compromise can affect more than just the person involved.